Hi folks, Nathan Pierce here from Family Protection Ministries. Today we're going to talk about phone calls to your local district office of your state legislators, state assembly members, and state senators to let them know how homeschooling works in California and how they can get answers to any questions they might have about it, and also to introduce yourself as someone who is currently privately homeschooling in the district, so that they can know that there are private homeschoolers currently in their own district and that they care about private homeschooling and that homeschoolers like the way things work right now. So let's go ahead and get started. Why would you make a phone call? Phone calls are an alternative to in-person meetings that are going to be really more important this year than they have been in the past, because of the situation that our state is in with COVID shutdowns and lack of in-person communication at the Capitol building. Those phone calls go up the scale of value because in-person, which is the most ideal and the most valuable interaction with a legislator or their staff, that's not available. That's not possible in most cases right now. So phone calls go up that scale and have a greater impact and have greater value. So you would make a phone call instead of an in-person meeting because it's possible and because now it has greater value because of that issue. So phone calls are a great way to talk to your legislator directly while keeping a level of privacy that is not possible over a Zoom call. So one other option is to do a virtual meeting over your computer, whether it's through Zoom or some other format, where you can actually see the other person. But some people aren't comfortable with that. Some individuals aren't, as well as folks working in a legislator's office may not be comfortable with that. It might not be possible for them. Try to remember, even those folks that work for a legislator often are working from home, so they might not be comfortable working via a virtual video interface with you because they're working out of their own home. So you may end up with the phone call being the best option for a lot of situations. So, and it does offer you and them more privacy and more comfort and perhaps more confidence. You're not perhaps going to have the same experience. You may not have the same ability to communicate as you would over a Zoom call because you don't have that visual aspect to the interaction, but if it's better than nothing. So phone calls are very critical. Asking and answering questions is instantaneous, so there's a back and forth interaction, unlike if you're writing a letter to a legislator. So there can be that interaction that can build a relationship over the phone that you can't do with a letter. Letters are still important and they have their place, but a phone call can be a bit more personal and can build a relationship in a different way than a letter can. So these are some reasons you might make a phone call to your legislator at their district office. So to do this, you would go to your legislator's website and go to their contact page, find their phone number, and make sure that you're well prepared beforehand, of course, and make sure you're contacting the right person. The way to do that is you need to go and find out who actually represents you. Now there's a couple options here for making phone calls. You can actually call your state senator, you can call your state assembly member, or you can call both. There's also federal legislators that represent you at the federal level in DC, and those are your California state senators and your California representatives that go to the House of Representatives in DC and represent you in Congress. So you want to make sure that you are contacting the people that you want to contact. In our case, we're focusing at this moment on trying to introduce ourselves as homeschoolers to our state representatives, state California state legislators, who are the California State Assembly members and California state senators. So we have a link below that'll give you information on how you can find out who your state assembly and senators are, and then you can look up their information on their websites. Once you call them, explain that you're a constituent in their district that is concerned over homeschooling issues and you'd like to meet with them either virtually or have a phone conversation with them about private homeschooling and want to introduce yourself as a homeschooler. And the phone call is a less intimidating way for them, but it may not be the best situation in all cases. So make your decision based on what is comfortable for you and what kind of information they give you in terms of what they're comfortable with at their end as well. Try to be sensitive to that. During your meeting, you want to make sure that you express your appreciation to them for the work that they're doing and to them taking their time to meet with you, to have a phone call with you. Thank the person you're meeting, you're talking to, you're interacting with over the phone, and introduce yourself as a private homeschool family in their district, trying to raise awareness about private homeschooling, let them know how many homeschoolers are in their district. You'll be able to get that information off of our resource page, and you should mention that you want the best quality education for your children, and this is how you have come to private homeschooling, and that's where you're at. And so you can just provide that information to them and ask if they have any questions. You don't have to prolong the meeting, the phone call, if it's not feeling like they want to be talking with you, but you can ask questions and just let them know that you appreciate the way that homeschooling works in California, and you're not asking for anything different. You're not asking them to make any changes. You can mention any position that you might have with a local homeschool support organization, a support group. You might share one or two ways that your children have benefited from private homeschooling. I would encourage you to not get into anything specific to right now with COVID if they ask about things relating to how you have social interaction with other people. You can talk about things that you've done in the past because there have been a new increase in the number of people involved in private homeschooling. But what we're focusing on is the numbers and the social interaction that we've had for many years, and how homeschooling has worked for a long period of time, not focusing so much as on the bubble of homeschooling within COVID times as the answers that you give to them, but trying to step out from that bubble and talk about the more historical experience that you have had outside of the COVID time frame and how homeschooling normally works, and kind of go back to that. In terms of answering questions, you want to provide the best answers you can. If they ask questions that you don't feel comfortable answering, you can tell them, I'll get back to you on that. I'll give you a call back, or I'll email you. Or you can ask them to contact my office at the number provided here. Or you can also tell them that you can look into it and get back to them. And then you can follow up, and then it's you building on top of a relationship with them that you've started. You're somebody from their district. You're building that relationship, and you're providing feedback based on questions that they've asked you personally. And it really is a beneficial thing for you to have them ask you questions and then you get back to them on it. Either way, even if you don't have any questions, it is good to follow up with them later to make sure they don't have any unanswered questions, or simply to thank them for the time they spent with you. It's good to follow up with a thank you card as well, to say, thank you for the time you spent with me. I appreciate your listening to the information about homeschooling, and just reaffirm that you're there to answer any questions they may have. It's always great for them to have somebody in their district that they can contact that has some answers, that has some connections, that they can go to get answers on questions that do come up throughout the year and the legislative session. So that's it for today. I hope that this is helpful to you. And again, revisit the resources page so that you can have the most information you can about how to contact your own legislators and what steps to take to have that phone call. Thanks.